My wife yelled, at 4 a.m., "Stop interrogating me, you don't own me." I replied quietly, "You're right." That was the last conversation we ever had. I left that same night. 6 years later, she showed up at a hospital for a routine appointment and froze when the nurse asked if she knew me. I'm 36 now, single, and I work as a physician assistant in a busy urban hospital. 6 years ago, I was 30, married for 4 years, and thought I had my whole life figured out. My ex-wife and I met in college. She was studying communications, I was pre-med. We were that couple everyone thought would make it. Got married right after I finished my PA program, moved into a decent apartment, adopted a dog together. All the standard relationship milestones. For the first 2 years of marriage, things were genuinely good. We had our arguments like any couple, but nothing serious. We talked about buying a house, maybe having kids in a few years. Then she got a promotion at her marketing firm. New responsibilities, new team, longer hours. I was supportive, encouraged her to take it. She deserved the recognition. But with the promotion came changes I didn't anticipate. She started going out more. After-work drinks with colleagues turned into late dinners, weekend team-building events, industry conferences that required overnight stays. At first, I didn't think much of it. Her career was taking off and I was proud of her. But around month 3 of the new position, I started noticing smaller things. She'd come home at midnight or later, sometimes smelling like alcohol and cigarettes even though she'd never smoked. Her phone was always face down now. Password suddenly changed from the one we'd shared. She'd take calls in the other room, closing the door behind her. When I'd ask about her day, her answers got vaguer. Just work stuff. You wouldn't understand the project. It's complicated. I tried bringing it up gently. I feel like we never talk anymore. Like you're somewhere else even when you're here. She'd get defensive immediately. I'm working hard. Sorry if that's not enough for you. I'm not saying it's not enough. I'm saying I miss you, miss us. Maybe if you weren't so needy, we'd be fine. That word stung. Needy. For wanting to spend time with my wife, for wanting to know what was going on in her life. The pattern continued for months. I'd stay up waiting for her to come home. She'd stumble in after midnight, brush past me without a word, and lock herself in the bathroom for 20 minutes. Some nights, she wouldn't come home at all, texting me around 2 a.m. that she was crashing at a colleague's place because she'd had too much to drink. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But my gut kept screaming that something was wrong. About 8 months into her promotion, I couldn't take it anymore. It was a Friday night, almost 4 a.m., and she still wasn't home. She'd texted at 11 saying she'd be late. Then nothing for 5 hours. No response to my calls or messages. She finally walked in at 3:47 a.m. I was sitting in the living room, couldn't sleep, had been pacing for hours. "Where were you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. "Out with the team, I told you. You said you'd be late, not that you'd be gone all night." "It's not all night, it's barely 4. You couldn't text, couldn't call?" She dropped her purse on the counter, kicked off her heels. "My phone died." "You couldn't borrow someone's phone? You couldn't find a charger?" Oh my God, here we go with the interrogation. "I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking why my wife didn't come home or communicate for 5 hours." "Because I was having fun. Because I was actually enjoying myself for once instead of coming home to this." "To what? To your husband who's worried about you." She laughed, bitter and sharp. "Worried, right. You mean controlling. How is wanting to know if you're safe controlling? You always do this. You always make me feel guilty for having a life outside of you. You sit here waiting for me like some pathetic—" She stopped herself. "Like some pathetic what?" "Nothing. Forget it." "No, say it. You were going to call me something, so say it." "You're suffocating me," she yelled. "Every day it's, 'Where are you? What are you doing? When are you coming home?' I can't breathe. I ask you those things because you're never here anymore. Because you've changed completely, and won't talk to me about what's going on. Nothing is going on. I'm working. I'm building a career. I'm sorry if that's not exciting enough for you. Is there someone else? The question hung in the air. She went completely still. What did you just say? I asked if there's someone else. Are you seeing someone? Her face twisted into something between rage and disgust. Unbelievable. You're actually accusing me of cheating? I'm asking, there's a difference. No, you're accusing. You're standing here at 4 a.m. acting like you own me, like I owe you an explanation for every second of my day. Stop interrogating me. You don't own me. I felt something break inside me. Not dramatically, not with anger. Just a quiet snap, like a thread that had been stretched too thin for too long. You're right, I said quietly. I don't own you. I never wanted to. I just wanted a partner who cared enough to come home, or at least call. She stared at me, and for a second, I thought she might say something real, might actually talk to me like we used to talk. But then her expression hardened again. I'm going to bed. I have work in the morning. She walked past me toward the bedroom. I stood there in the living room as the sun started coming up outside, and I realized something. I was done. Not angry done, not revenge done. Just exhausted, empty done. I went to the bedroom while she was in the bathroom, packed a duffel bag with clothes, toiletries, my laptop, grabbed my work badge and keys, walked out while she was still behind the locked bathroom door. I didn't leave a note, didn't send a text, just left. Update 1, I crashed at a friend's place that first night, slept for maybe 2 hours, woke up to 17 missed calls and about 30 texts from her. They followed a predictable pattern. First few, where did you go? Are you serious right now? You're being ridiculous. Middle batch, okay, you made your point. Come home so we can talk. I'm sorry I yelled, but you can't just leave like this. Final ones, fine, be that way, see if I care. I didn't respond to any of them. My friend, who I'd known since undergrad, made coffee and asked what happened. I gave him the short version. He'd met my wife a few times at gatherings, always said she seemed nice but distant. You think she's cheating? He asked. Yeah, I do. You want to know for sure? I thought about it. Did I? Would it change anything? I'd already left. Already decided I was done. Did I need confirmation to justify it? No, I said finally. It doesn't matter. Even if she's not, she's already gone. The person I married checked out months ago. I stayed with my friend for a week, then found a studio apartment closer to the hospital where I worked. Filed for divorce 2 weeks after I left. The papers were served to her at work, which I didn't intend but couldn't control. She called me immediately after being served. I actually answered that time. Are you kidding me right now? Her voice was shrill, panicked. You're divorcing me? Over one fight? Over months of you disappearing. Over you treating me like I'm the problem for caring. Over whatever you've been doing that you can't talk to me about. I haven't been doing anything. Then why couldn't you come home? Why couldn't you answer your phone? Why did you lock yourself in the bathroom for 20 minutes at 4 a.m.? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. If you do this, we're done. Forever. You understand that? That's kind of the point of divorce. You'll regret this. When you're alone and you realize you threw away 4 years of marriage over your own insecurity, you'll regret it. Maybe, but I'll regret staying more. I hung up. She tried calling back multiple times. I blocked her number. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. She didn't contest it, didn't fight for anything. We split our minimal assets. She kept the apartment lease. I took the dog since she'd never really bonded with him anyway. Clean break, legally speaking. But emotionally, that took longer. Update 2. Over the next 2 years, I threw myself into work, picked up extra shifts, volunteered for the worst schedules, took on additional training. The hospital became my life. It was easier than dealing with the aftermath of a failed marriage, Easier than dating, easier than examining what I could have done differently. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved on quickly. Started publicly dating someone from her office about 3 months after the divorce was final. They got engaged within a year. I felt nothing when I heard that. Not anger, not vindication, nothing. Just a distant sense of, yeah, that tracks. I dated sporadically. Nothing serious. First date conversations always eventually led to, so why did your marriage end? And I never had a good answer that didn't make me sound bitter or her sound terrible. Usually just said we grew apart, which was true enough. The hospital kept me busy. I worked my way up to a senior PA position, got involved in training new staff, found purpose in the work. Patients don't care about your personal life. They just need you to be competent and present. I could do that. By year 4 post-divorce, I was in a good place. Had a routine, had work I cared about, had friends I saw regularly. Wasn't looking for a relationship, but wasn't opposed to one either. Just existed in this comfortable, stable middle ground. Then year 6 happened. Update 3. It was a Tuesday afternoon, routine clinic day. I was seeing patients in the hospital's outpatient care center, working through a typical schedule. Post-op follow-ups, medication adjustments, nothing unusual. The nurse called me over around 2 p.m. Got a walk-in who needs a quick BP check and clearance form signed. Can you squeeze her in? Sure, put her in room 3. I grabbed the tablet with her intake forms, glanced at the name, and felt absolutely nothing. It was a common enough name. Didn't even register. Walked into the exam room, eyes on the tablet, reading through her information. Hi, I'm just going to check your blood pressure real quick and... I looked up. She was sitting on the exam table, frozen, face completely white, staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. I felt my brain short-circuit for about 3 seconds. Then professional training kicked in. I kept my expression neutral, my voice even. Good afternoon. Let's get your vitals. She found her voice, shaky and small. I didn't know you worked here. 6 years now. The nurse came in, cheerful and oblivious, wrapping the blood pressure cuff around her arm. You two know each other? I met my ex-wife's eyes. Let the silence stretch just long enough to be uncomfortable. We used to, I said finally. The nurse, bless her, picked up on the tension and hurried through the reading. 120/78, nice and normal. I'll let you finish up. She left. The door closed. We were alone in the small exam room. My ex-wife spoke first. I had no idea you worked here. My doctor's office is in this building, and they said I could get the clearance form done downstairs instead of making another appointment. It's fine. I can sign off on this. How have you been? I almost laughed at the absurdity of the question. 6 years of silence, and that's what she leads with. Good. You? I'm okay. I got married, had a baby. That's actually why I need this form, for the daycare enrollment. I nodded, still processing. She was married, had a kid, moved on with her life completely. Congratulations, I said, and meant it. No sarcasm, no bitterness, just a flat statement of acknowledgement. She looked like she wanted to say more, kept opening her mouth, then closing it. Finally, I'm sorry. For how things ended, for how I treated you. I set down the tablet. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? It was 6 years ago. We're different people now. I know, but I've thought about reaching out so many times, thought about apologizing. I was terrible to you. You deserved better. Yeah, I did. She flinched at that. I was seeing someone. The whole time, those last few months. You were right. I picked up the tablet again, started filling out the form. I know. How did you know? Because I'm not an idiot, and because you just confirmed it. He's not... I didn't marry him. That fell apart about a year after we divorced. I married someone else, someone better. Good for you. Are you seeing anyone? That's not really relevant to this appointment. She went quiet. I finished the form, signed it, printed it from the wall-mounted unit. You're all set. Form's good for 90 days. She took it, hands shaking slightly. Thank you. I moved toward the door, professional smile in place. Take care of yourself. Wait. I stopped, hand on the door handle. Can we talk? Actually talk. Maybe get coffee or something. I turned back to her, really looked at her for the first time since walking into the room. She'd aged, obviously. 6 years does that. But more than that, she looked tired. Worn down in a way that had nothing to do with having a baby, and everything to do with carrying guilt. Why? I asked. Because I owe you a real apology, a real explanation. Because I've been carrying this for 6 years and I need to... To what? Absolve yourself? Make yourself feel better? To give you closure? I almost laughed again. I got closure 6 years ago when I walked out. I'm good. Please, just one conversation. 30 minutes. I should have said no. Should have walked out. Maintained the boundary. Kept my life separate from that chapter. But something in her desperation, or maybe my own curiosity, made me pause. Fine. One conversation. There's a cafe in the lobby. 20 minutes. That's all I can spare. Update 4. We sat in the hospital cafe, 2 strangers with a shared history. Coffee neither of us really wanted getting cold between us. She started talking before I could even settle into my chair. Like she'd been holding this in for years, and the dam had finally broken. His name was my boss, the one I was sleeping with. It started about 2 months into the promotion. He was charming, paid attention to me, made me feel important. I know how that sounds. I know it's a cliché. But when you're working 70-hour weeks and your husband is asleep by the time you get home, when someone makes you feel seen. I made you feel seen, I said quietly. Until you stopped letting me. She nodded, tears starting. I know. I know you did. I pulled away from you because the guilt was eating me alive. Every time you asked where I was or when I'd be home, I felt like you could see right through me. So I got defensive, pushed you away, blamed you for caring. You made me feel crazy, like I was the problem. You were never the problem. I was. I was selfish and cowardly, and I destroyed the best thing I had because I was too weak to just be honest. I sipped my coffee, let her continue. That night, the 4 a.m. fight, I'd been with him. We'd had this big industry event, and afterward a group went to a hotel bar. Everyone else left around midnight. We stayed, went up to his room. I'd been lying to myself for months that it was just emotional, just friendship. But that night, I don't need the details. Right. Sorry. When I got home and you asked where I'd been, I panicked. Got angry instead of honest. And when you asked if there was someone else, I could have just said yes. Could have ended it there with some dignity. But I doubled down on the lie instead. Why are you telling me this now? She wiped her eyes. Because my therapist says I can't move forward until I face what I did. Because my husband knows about you but not the real story. Because I have a daughter now, and the thought of someone treating her the way I treated you makes me sick. Your husband doesn't know you cheated? He knows the marriage ended, doesn't know why. I told him we grew apart. I shook my head. You should tell him. He deserves to know who he married. That's not fair. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe not, but he should still know. What happens if he finds out some other way? If an old colleague mentions it? You think that'll go better? She looked down at her coffee. You're right. I know you're right. We sat in silence for a minute. I checked my watch. I need to get back. Thank you for listening. I know I don't deserve it. I stood up. I hope you have a good life. I hope you're better to him than you were to me. And I hope your daughter never has to learn these lessons the hard way. Do you hate me? I thought about it. Really considered the question. No, I did for a while. but mostly I just feel nothing. You're a stranger who used to be important. That's it. I walked away, threw my untouched coffee in the trash, and went back to work. Saw 4 more patients that afternoon. Went home to my quiet apartment, fed my dog, made dinner, watched TV, went to bed. Normal, stable, uncomplicated. Final update. That was 8 months ago. Haven't seen or heard from her since. Don't expect to. The hospital's big enough that we'd have to try to run into each other again. I did some thinking after that conversation. Talked to my own therapist about it, processed the whole thing, realized that as much as she'd hurt me 6 years ago, I'd genuinely moved on. Seeing her again didn't reopen old wounds, just reminded me why I'd left in the first place. I started dating someone seriously about 4 months ago. Met her through a friend, she's a teacher, has her own life and interests. We see each other twice a week, text daily, take things slow. She knows about the divorce, knows the basic story, doesn't push for details I'm not ready to share. Last week she asked if I'd ever consider getting married again. I told her honestly, maybe with the right person, but not for a long time. She said that was fair, that she felt the same way. No pressure, no rush, just 2 people figuring it out together. That's what it should have been the first time. 2 people figuring it out together. Not one person lying and the other person slowly losing their mind trying to hold it together. I heard through the same mutual friend network that my ex-wife did tell her current husband about the cheating. He apparently took it hard, they went to couples counseling, and they're working through it. I genuinely hope they make it. Hope she learned something from what she did to both of us. The dog is still with me, 13 now, gray around the muzzle, but happy. Best part of that marriage, honestly. Work is still good, still fulfilling, still keeps me busy enough that I don't spend too much time dwelling on the past, and that's really the end of it. Sometimes the closure isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just a 20-minute conversation in a hospital cafe where you realize the person who destroyed you doesn't have any power over you anymore. Where you can look at them and feel nothing but mild curiosity and relief that you got out when you did. She wanted absolution I couldn't give her, wanted me to say it was okay, that I forgave her, that we could part as friends. But I don't owe her that. Don't owe her anything. The fact that I don't hate her is gift enough. I left 6 years ago at 4 a.m. with a duffel bag and a broken heart. Walked out on a marriage that was already over. Best decision I ever made. Not because it led to some amazing transformation or revenge plot or perfect new life, but because it led to peace. To waking up every morning not wondering where my partner was or if they were lying. To building a life that's genuinely mine, not a carefully maintained performance for someone who stopped caring. That's the lesson, I guess. Sometimes you don't get dramatic closure. Sometimes you just get to walk away and build something better. And 6 years later, when the ghost of your past shows up in an exam room, you get to look at them and realize you're completely fine. That they're just another patient needing a form signed. That the person who once had the power to devastate you is now just someone you used to know. And that's enough.